Hey guys, let's compare the Olight S2R and the Thrunite TC12. I don't do a lot of comparison videos, but in reality I think these are two of the best larger EDC flashlights that you're going to find on the market, and I wanted to compare them because they're similar priced, similar power, very similar in what you get and the quality that you get and what you pay for. So to help you guys do this and figure out how you want to spend your money, and guys, these are expensive, these are not cheap, and I know if you spend your money you want to be happy. So let's look at the differences between them. I'm not picking sides saying one light is better than the other. I'm just pointing out differences. I love both of these lights. So major difference you're going to notice right off the bat, the Olight S2R is much smaller. It does not have a rear tail switch. It only has the side switch. That is the big elephant in the room. So of course many people are going to prefer the Olight just based on that alone, because size does matter, guys. Now the TC12 carried in my pocket. I've also carried the TN12 quite a bit. Never bothered me. I don't wear skinny jeans, so it's really not an issue. Interface. Now, of course, like I mentioned, no tail cap. So your Olight has the traditional Olight interface, which means turning it on and then holding to cycle through your modes. Clicking to turn off, then you have your moonlight by holding, and I think it's a double for strobe, so you have access to everything relatively quickly on this. Thrunite requires a two-step operation. You're going to have to turn it on via the tail cap and then push to cycle through your modes. And it's hold for strobe, and moonlight is incorporated into those modes, so there's no instant access to moonlight. However, it does have a mode memory, so you can set it for moonlight and then it will come back to it. The Olight has mode memory as well. I should point that out. They both take a single 18650. They both, this Thrunite has the XPL V6, and the Olight has the, I believe it's an XML U2 with this TIR lens, which goes to another major difference is beam and how far you're going to be able to use this light. This Thrunite, when we cycle up into the modes, you can see has a very tight hot spot. This thing travels quite a ways. This is a light you can easily use out to 100 yards. It has a bright hot spot and a good amount of fill around it. The Olight S2R, having this TIR lens, this special lens, basically spreads the light out. So instead of having a huge hot spot or a little tiny hot spot with a lot of spill, you have one bigger hot spot. This light is really good for about 50 yards. So you're going to get much further distance out of the Thrunite. So if that is important to you, you definitely want to consider the Thrunite. If you're going to be doing a lot of close-up work, maybe working in your car where you don't want a lot of bright, or maybe you're going to be reading, I think the Olight is a great flashlight to read in your tent with, because you do have that moonlight. It's a very diffused beam, very good for that stuff. Now, we could compare the modes and say this mode has 1,000 lumens, this mode has 1,050, and it's really going to get you nowhere, guys, because we don't detect lumens like that. In fact, you really need like a big factor of change in order to perceive it. So the petty differences in lumens between these, not even worth mentioning. The mode spacing is pretty similar, at least similar enough for all intensive purposes. And it's actually intents and purposes. I don't know why we always say intensive purposes. One of those weird things. I don't know. Okay, back on track here. Modes. Very similar. Both have a moonlight, both have a strobe, both have high, medium, low turbo. So they have the same amount of modes. I do believe the access to them is a little easier with the Olight because you can access that moonlight immediately, you can access the strobe immediately. The Thrunite, however, you have that extra button in the operation. You can't go directly to strobe. You can go directly to moonlight. You can go directly to turbo using mode memory. So there's all that. Construction-wise, these things are built very the same. I've tore them both apart. They both use high-quality springs. They both do all that. Very well built. These things, if you go online, there's tons of torture tests. People have just beaten these things to death, and they're both very good, reputable companies that make very good products. Charging. Another major difference is charging. Now, the Thrunite has your standard USB slot, where you can just open up this little piece of plastic and plug it into any mini USB port. Whether it's your cell phone charger, computer, cable, it's pretty portable. You can pretty much plug it, and these cables are pretty much universal, so you really don't need to bring anything with you. So if it was an emergency situation and you grabbed the flashlight and ran, you'd probably have the capability to charge it as long as you can find someone with a cell phone charger. Olight uses the proprietary charger, which is the little magnetic one, which is brand new, that goes onto the bottom here without opening or closing the light, which I think is a really cool charger, but for emergency purposes, not so cool. If you break it, forget it. You no longer have that capability to charge your light. You know, the odds of you running into someone else with that proprietary Olight 2 charger are pretty much zero. Your odds of running into someone with a cell phone charger, really high. So if you're looking at this for a bug out bag, emergency bag, something like that, you might want to consider the Thrunite, because you don't have to worry about that little charger. Now, that little magnetic charger, no big deal. It's really tiny. You can fit it in a pocket. Super, super tiny. So it's not something to really worry about as far as, you know, it being bulky or anything like that. It's actually very small. Takes up no room. Another difference, the Olight has a magnetic base, so you can use this as a work light. It will stick to, you know, any metal surfaces. It's actually a very strong, so it will hold itself very well. So if you're using this to fix your car or something like that on the side of the road, you have a flat tire, very easy to stick that up inside your wheel well and use it as a work light. Thrunite does not have that option. You could probably rig up one of those little magnetic rings in there around that, but you'd have to probably find one, and there'd probably be a lot of work and a lot of trouble. So there you go, guys. A lot of differences, a lot of similarities. For some people, these are going to fit your needs more than others. I think if you're looking for a really small light to keep in your car, this Olight's excellent. You know, if you're looking for more of a camping, hunting, fishing light, you might want to go with the Thrunite. But they're all very different, very similar. And the 18650, guys, since I still got your attention, hopefully, is the most efficient setup for a flashlight. When it comes down to it, when you look at AA, AAA flashlights, you have to have a boost circuit in order to run a 4-volt LED, and that's what these XPL and XMLs are. They're full 4 volts. So if you have a single AA, it's 1.5 volts, you have to boost it, you're losing a tremendous amount of efficiency. Likewise, if you have a 2 AA flashlight, you're talking 3 volts, it's still got to be boosted up to 4 volts in order to run. Once again, you're losing a whole bunch of efficiency, and that's why, you know, the AA lights really don't get great runtime, despite having, you know, 2,500 milliamp hour batteries compared to like 3,000 milliamp hour batteries. They should be very similar, but they're actually not. You can get so much more out of these. So I do highly recommend, if you're looking for EDC, consider the single 18650s. For me, I can pocket the Thrunite no problem. Some people can't. The Olight might be a little more pocketable, and that's another big difference between them, is pocketability. Pocketability. The Olight has this really nice deep tail clip. Fits in a pocket, only the tiniest bit sticks out. Downfall is, number one, your lens up. You may not like that because you're going to get your grubby fingers all over the lens. Number two, it can be kind of tough to get out of your pocket because it is below the pocket line almost. So if you are in a car or something like that and it is in your pocket, it can be difficult to access. But other than that, it's a pretty good pocket clip. I don't like how long the clip is because it tends to stick out of your pocket forever, and it has a lot of capability to get caught on seat belts and things like that. But overall, I really like the deep pocket carry clip. It's not reversible in any way, so it only has the one option to put it on, but you do also have a hole here for a lanyard as well. The Thrunite pocket clip, not reversible either, and you can see it's quite a bit of real estate above it, so if you put this in your pocket, you are going to have this much of the light sticking out, which can be a pain in the butt. Once again, it's very easy to get caught on a seatbelt or something else like that. If you're leaning against a desk or something, I've had this, you know, kind of get wrenched out of my pocket a little bit. It's very easy to do with this kind of pocket clip. So that is one thing to consider as well if you are going to be pocket carrying. You don't have to take the clip. You can take them both off. You can just put it in your pocket. You can throw them in your back pocket. You can throw them in your coat pocket. You don't need to use the clips. They're both removable. So I think that's about it, guys. There's a lot of differences here and a lot to think about They are the same price. They're very similar, right around that $70 price range, $60, $70. But you get a lot for these lights, guys. And I think if you are going to get yourself a single 18650 light, these are two lights that you definitely need to consider. They both have great reputations. They both have a lot of features. They both have a lot of good stuff to them. They're both tough as nails, built well. And the only major difference is when you look at these little things, decide which one fits you best. So hope you enjoyed.